VigilanteWilliamson here with a very simple question, and that is, where do both Zhilei Zhang and Joyce go after Zhilei Zhang dominated Joyce in 3 rounds with an incredible explosive knockout in the third, at the very end of the third, in fact. And I'm not sure where either goes. Joyce was hyped up, and maybe rightfully so. He beat Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois and a lot of guys in the British scene that had a lot of hype behind them. He looked dominant in a lot of those wins. He looked pretty tough. And then he ran to Zhang the first fight earlier this year, and he didn't look so tough. And he got stopped because of his eye. In this fight, he made the inexplicable decision to come in 30 pounds heavier, or around 30 pounds, maybe it was 25 pounds, but a lot heavier, despite knowing that Zhilei Zhang's biggest weakness is his stamina. And he started off the fight actually pretty fair in the first round, but again, he was moving around and using his mobility, which he already hindered by coming in so big. So I didn't understand that. That was just completely perplexing. But Zhilei Zhang is so good at placing punches, timing punches, and being able to punch with power without having to load up or sit down his punches in a way that puts him in danger. So he's one of the best punchers in the heavyweight division. And he showed that with a nice body to right hook combination, which he kind of rehearsed. Shout out to the guy, I can't think of his name, but I watched Boxing Beats and Rhymes post fight, and he had a guy on his panel who said he actually set that up and rehearsed it earlier in the fight, which he did. He didn't put as much in the hook the first time he did it. He was basically setting that punch up for most of the fight, at least for most of the third. And man, did it land flush. And I've rewatched that knockout a few times. That was probably the best knockout of the heavyweight division, at least, because it's been a poor heavyweight year. Honestly, this Joyce Zhang rivalry has been the only real thing to happen in the heavyweight division of note, outside of the Dubois Usyk controversy. But like I said, I'm not sure where either fighter goes. Joyce, now that he has this loss, now 2 losses, I think a lot of that intimidation factor, this granite chin, the juggernaut, I think a lot of that's gone. I mean, he's not done. There's still fights he can make. There's still fighters he can beat. But I think a lot of that intimidation factor, that energy is gone. And with Zhang, because the top of the class is so, for lack of a better term, marshmallow hearted, I don't see too many people wanting to fight him. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see him fight Tyson Fury, but Fury is scared of his own shadow right now. I'd love to see him fight Wilder, but he's in the PBC witness protection program. I would love to see him fight a guy like Ruiz, but he doesn't want to fight for under 100 million or something. I'm exaggerating, but it seems like he's pricing himself out of fights. AJ is not ready yet mentally, and he may never be. A guy like Frank Sanchez would be interesting, but I don't see that fight happening either. Ironically enough, the one guy of the top elite of the heavyweight who doesn't have a marshmallow heart is Usyk, and maybe we'll see that next year. And I would favor Usyk, despite all the hype for Zhang. I would favor Zhang against a lot of other guys I mentioned, but I would favor Usyk because I think he can actually tire Zhang out. That's Zhang's biggest weakness. That's his Achilles heel, is his stamina. And I think he can move a lot better than Joyce, especially at 280. So he can move a lot better. He can throw his punches with quicker succession. So I think he would do better against Zhang than a lot of other guys. And he's probably the only one with any heart to actually get in the ring with him. We'll see what happens. I think there's still a Dubois appeal. And ironically enough, one of the people that beat Zhang in a kind of controversial win, Filip Hrgovic, will be next for Usyk, I believe. As far as the mandatory situation goes, we'll see how that works out. That's another fight that could be made for Zhang. Maybe a rematch with Hrgovic, which I would favor Zhang. I thought Zhang won the first time. He placed his punches again well. I do kind of understand why Zhang didn't get the nod. He did take a lot of sections of rounds off. Again, he has a stamina issue. That's one of his biggest issues. Again, I have no idea what Joyce and his trainer were thinking, letting Joyce gain so much weight in between fights. If you're fighting a guy like this and you know stamina is his big issue, and you know he has a lot of power, and you know you had trouble getting out of the way of his punches, in both fights Zhang was pretty much hitting him at will. I mean, honestly, he kind of hit Hrgovic at will when he had the stamina to, because again, he's very good at timing and placing his punches. But if you had trouble getting out of the way of a guy's punches, you don't come in bigger, because now you're slower and you're easier to hit. So I don't know what was going on in his trainer's mind or his mind as far as Joe Joyce coming into this fight. But all credit and all respect to Zhang. He's one of my favorite heavyweights right now. I hope he can get a fight. I hope he can get a fight with a top guy. I don't see it happening outside of maybe Usyk with a mandatory. He probably is going to have to fight some schlub to keep busy in between whenever he'll get that mandatory sometime next year. But we already know Fury doesn't want to smoke. If he doesn't want to fight Usyk, who's a lot less violent, maybe just as dangerous in the ability to beat Fury, but he's a lot less violent of a fighter, and he doesn't want to fight Usyk, why in the world would he want to fight Zhang? Granted, he's fighting Ngannou, but I mean, Ngannou has never boxed before, so even if he's a violent UFC fighter, he's probably going to get twisted in pretzels out there fighting Fury. And again, like I said, Andrew Ruiz, doesn't want to fight anybody. I would like to see Frank Sanchez as another up-and-coming type guy. I say up-and-coming. Zhang himself is 40. Frank Sanchez is in his mid-30s. I know he says he's early 30s, but he's probably closer to my age. So I don't know. But I hope Zhang can get a fight. Please prove me wrong. Somebody fight Zhang. Get in there with the big bang. He's doing this thing. Congratulations to Zhang. I hope Joyce can kind of come back, because I do like Joyce. I know he's an older guy too, 38. Had a lot of amateur success and was in the amateurs for a while. Only has, like 18 some odd fights. He still has fights to make. He can still do a Dubois rematch. There's still guys he can fight. So it's not all is not lost for him. But he may have lost his opportunity to fight for a heavyweight title after both of these losses to Zhang. But what do you think? If you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night and God bless. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.